turned to 11.
Yeah.
So it says now the stream is live. We are here. So hopefully people will be joining us so they can learn more as we do this kind of preview of 2 million names and American ancestors at RootsTech 2024. It's just 2 weeks, literally.
Yeah.
Lindsay, can you believe that? You'll be here in the Salt Palace in Salt Lake.
I'm so excited. I have not, the last time I was in Salt Lake was at RootsTech 2020.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So and I have not been back since, and I'm so excited to go back. And you know, the pandemic, right. I know that you were able to come back before then, but I'm so excited to get back to Salt Lake. I haven't been there in 4 years.
We've missed you, Lindsay. We're glad to have you back.
Well, folks, I hope all of you are chiming in. We're just getting started. My name is Tom Reed. I'm program manager for African Heritage in North America for Family Search International, but I'm wearing my RootsTech logo because RootsTech is sponsored by, put on by Family Search. And we're here today giving kind of a preview of what's happening at RootsTech. Hopefully you've been able to see some of our other lives we've had in the weeks leading up to it, and we still have some more to come. But today we're doing a preview of 10 million names and American ancestors at RootsTech 2024. I've got my good friends, Lindsay and David from American Ancestors that are on. Let me tell you a little bit about them, and then we'll jump into kind of our discussion today. And we definitely want to hear from you. So as you have a chance, chime in, tell us where you're coming from. Tell us what the weather's like there. We may, if you're in Cancun, we may move RootsTech to. No, I'm just kidding. So my guests today are Lindsay Fulton. She is the VP of Research and Library Services for American Ancestors. She focuses on the 10 Million Names Project, which we're going to talk about, and really helps to assist constituents with their research. She's recognized nationally for the work she's done as a professional genealogist, as a lecturer, as an author. She has done a lot of work on the United States Federal Census, and she's been a frequent contributor on the NEHGS, or New England Historic Genealogical Society's blog, Vita Brevis. Now, one of the cool things she's going to talk about is she's been featured on the PBS series Finding Your Roots. We all know Finding Your Roots, but she was on The Seedlings, or had some work to do with The Seedlings, Finding Your Roots, The Seedlings. And so she's going to talk about that a little bit, give you a little sneak peek of some things that are coming for them at RootsTech. And of course, we've got David Lambert, our chief genealogist for American Ancestors, who's been there since 1993. David, in leading up here, David, you said 4 decades in this industry?
Yeah, I was doing it when I was still in high school, but I'd like to say grade school was 4 decades ago. But
you should say diapers.
Yes, exactly.
A long time. And David also is an internationally renowned speaker, lecturer, does tons on genealogy and history. This man has written some cool stuff. You may remember some of the names like David McCullough and Doris Kearns Goodwin. He's been a co-author working with them on some things. He holds a BA in history from Northeastern University and is a fellow of the Massachusetts Historical Society. Not only is he proficient in New England genealogical research and military records, but he also focused on DNA research, Native American, and African American genealogy in the region. So these are the 2 people that we have. Thank you for joining us today, Lindsay and David.
Honored to be asked. Thank you for having us, Tom.
Absolutely. So, and thank all of you for joining us. I see some friends that are joining us on various platforms that we all know. We are getting prepared for RootsTech 2024. Like I said, it is just 2 weeks away, and RootsTech is the place that we can come to be inspired and make connections through family history. Family Search hosts it, but we also are sponsored by other leading genealogical organizations. And this year, we're going to have over 200 plus sessions. We've got exhibitors, we've got experiences, all for attendees to discover, remember, and share their stories. It's February 29th through March 2nd. If you didn't know already, we get that extra day in Black History Month this year. So February 29th through March 2nd is when we're going to be hosting the world's largest family history conference. Just let me say that again, world's largest family history conference. And American Ancestors is playing a major role in several ways at RootsTech. Now, not only, David, are you guys, a sponsor, you'll have 2 exhibits. I know that several staff members are giving classes. David and Lindsay, you're both giving classes. We're going to hear from your president and CEO of American Ancestors, Ryan Woods, in the general session. Y'all will be all over the place. So you need to come. If y'all are watching this, you need to come to RootsTech, meet these folks. But we're going to give you a little sneak peek of what they're going to be doing when they're there. And so if you have questions, please add them to the comments. We'll try and feature them as we talk. But I want to give them a chance to kind of share a little bit more about what they're doing. And maybe, I don't know if if you have a background in genealogy, maybe you're new to this space and the name American Ancestors isn't familiar. David, tell us a little bit more about American Ancestors. Who are you? And tell us about the organization and what makes you special.
I'd be delighted. American Ancestors is a leading resource for family history research. We've been doing this since 1845, so going on 180 years. We have a wealth of different genealogical tools. We bring a lot of expertise from different areas of the world for research that we can assist people with. And we work to individually help tracing the roots and discover their heritage. So it doesn't have the original New England Historic Genealogical Society focus of just New England, which was many years ago.
Okay.
We've been dedicated to providing accessible and comprehensive resources to genealogists. We have online databases, Tom, with over 1.4 billion searchable records.
Yes.
We like to say that our education programs, our publications like the New England Historical and Genealogical Register, we published it quarterly since 1847. And we offer a variety of different services between lectures, consultations, and our paid research services. And, when our building is open after our new renovation and construction, you'll be able to come in and see this wonderful new center for family history.
Wow. Y'all do a little bit in this space.
A little bit.
I'm sorry that the building is under construction. I know you guys are making some fantastic changes. Some things from Family Search will be featured there. Lindsay, you've told me you run the inside of the house, right? So to speak, with your role as VP of Research and Library Services. So this change and everything that's happening with the new buildings is right in your camp, isn't it?
Yes. It all falls under the teams that I am honored to lead. That is the library team. So our print collections and manuscripts, fine art, all of that. We're keeping them safe while we're doing this construction project. I also oversee the research services team. And then most recently, the 10 Million Names Project, which is an incredibly exciting and ambitious project that we started in August of 2023.
Well, I think everybody's here. I saw my friend Michelle Numi Taylor from Virginia, who said she wants to know more about the 10 million names. So we're gonna jump into that real quick. But first, I wanna understand a little bit more about all the different things that American Ancestors is doing at RootsTech. We kind of highlighted them at the beginning, but there's some things with the Impact Forum this year. RootsTech is introducing kind of an Impact Forum. And Lindsay, I believe you're going to be speaking there, and I kind of seeded what you were going to say because you're going to be talking about the seedlings. Tell us a little bit more about the Impact Forum and what you're doing there.
Pun intended there. Yeah. I was really lucky to be involved in the Seedlings, which was a web-based program that Skip did that was introducing children. It was a STEM camp that they did at Penn State. And they were teaching the children about DNA, science, evolution. It was really science heavy, but there were 2 days where we talked specifically about family history. And it's apropos that I am talking at the Impact Forum because that day that I spent with those kids was probably the most impactful day that I've ever had as a genealogist, other than maybe NABJ doing the consultations, which we'll talk about later. But the kids had different experiences. Some were able to really quickly find information. They knew a lot about their family. Others didn't know so much. And I could tell that it was important for kids to know about their family history and how to do genealogy. So the Impact Forum is going to be a conversation that happens with Robin Furvish, who's from Emory University, who did a study about the impact of genealogy and family history on children. So I'm very excited to talk about my experience and then what we did as an organization in response to that experience and also the work that Robin did. So yes, cool. I'm very excited to talk about our youth education program.
Well, I think there's many people who are on here that know really what impact genealogy and knowing your family story, like you said, Robin Furvish and the Emory University study, what impact that has. And so we're always trying to reach to the younger folks and really get them interested in understanding their heritage and history. So Lindsay, thank you so much for what you did with the seedlings and what you're going to talk about and what you'll continue to do, I know, to help inspire the younger generation. That's amazing. So I know the kids, if they come to RootsTech, love to come to the booth. This year, y'all are doing 2 booths. Like, who does that? American Ancestors kind of like go big or go home kind of thing, right? So you got the American Ancestors booth, David, and you got the 10 Million Names booth, Lindsay. Tell us more about do you have any, can you give us a sense for what's going to be happening in the booth, David? Why would people want to come to your booth in addition to your classes and stuff like that?
Well, I hope to come and talk to me as well. I mean, that would be one of them. I suppose I can lead them from my 4 classes over to the booth. It would be wonderful. Well, the visitors to our booth can really dive into the world of genealogy that American Ancestors has been involved in, like I said, since 1845, and discover why we're dedicated to helping genealogists of all skill levels, from you just started today to you've been doing it for years and you get plenty of brick walls. And besides our American Ancestors website, we have a treasure trove of other resources, as Lindsay had mentioned, about our books and our manuscripts back in Boston. And so much of we're working towards is to put that online, and including working on new projects such as 10 Million Names and collaborating. I mean, at our booth, you can explore all of the different options we have. We're going to be doing a membership special. So if you're already a member, you're going to get a deal. If you have never joined before, you're going to get a deal. You can actually find out about all of the different external databases we have that are partner databases that we've included to American Ancestors. And you can also stop by and just connect. You got a question or a brick wall? Myself, my colleague, Melanie McComb, a senior genealogist, and of course, Lindsay will be at the 10 Million Names booth. We'll probably pull her over to our booth from time to time and, to kind of field questions like we were back in Boston at the reference desk. And I mean, obviously, we bring our publications there. So it's one of the few booths that you can actually go home and buy some books and bring home. I mean, a lot of them are RootsTech is tech. So you get a thumb drive or you buy a subscription. But with us, you can actually find some books, including our latest book, which I'll be lecturing on. It's the Great Migration Project we've been working on since 1988 with Robert Charles Anderson. The latest volume is out, and it's covering just the first part of the alphabet for 1636 to 38.
Okay. There's a lot going on at your booth, and you'll be there at the booth. So I think one of the first things you talked earlier about us being on Twitter. So I'm glad we follow each other on Twitter, but I just remember you are a bit of a selfie king yourself. Like I take selfies. So if you're coming to RootsTech, go to the American Ancestors booth. If you see David, get a selfie. And maybe I don't know if you're saying everybody's getting a deal on membership. So maybe you'll give them a deal if they take a selfie with you or something. I don't know.
I'll tell you what, whether they do a selfie with me or not, they're going to get a deal. I'll tell them to go over and do a selfie with Lindsay. And then
okay. I got pictures of I've got selfies with Lindsay as well. We're going to jump over to the 10 Million Names side of things. And again, folks, if you're just kind of jumping in late by chance or you didn't join us, my name's Tom Reed. We're here with Lindsay Fulton and David Lambert from American Ancestors, giving you a bit of a preview of what American Ancestors is going to be doing at RootsTech 2024, particularly with the 10 Million Names project. I know many of you in the chat are having a good conversation over there. If you've got questions and they kind of apply to what we're going to be talking about, we'll be sure to address them there. We might not be able to get to all the questions. I know some of them have been off topic. We've already heard, some folks have asked about adoption resources and things like that. You can get some of those questions answered at RootsTech, coming to the American Ancestors booth, coming to family, just visiting all of our exhibitors there. So I was intentional, Lindsay, talking only to David about the booth, the one side of the booth, because of your role kind of leading the 10 Million Names efforts for American Ancestors. And you guys are going to be featured on stage, center stage, as part of the keynote on Friday, March 1st, during the general session following Lynn Jackson's remarks. And people have heard this name out there. We're going to talk more about the launch, but just give our audience an understanding of what is 10 Million Names. What's it all about? What are you trying to do at American Ancestors, working with Family Search and others on this project?
Yeah, thank you. So 10 Million Names, our president and CEO sometimes refers to it as our genealogical moonshot, which it is. It's an ambitious project. It's looking to identify by name the 10 million people of African descent who came to what is now the United States before 1865. So that is naming those individuals. There's 10 million of them, an estimated 10 million. Yeah. And then also looking at the descendants of those folks. So once we get a name, bringing that that family tree down to mainly the present. Our cutoff is about 1950, where we would cut off that research, because we know that folks can usually find someone in the 1950 census and take it from there. So we've broken the project up into 5 flagship projects so that we can more easily manage the research that we're doing, because we're doing research, we're creating databases. We're asking folks to submit information that they might have in their own, that they've done on their own, or original material, which we've already run into. Folks have donated original material to us that their ancestors kept. It might be plantation ledgers. The other day, we just got a donation of a work calendar. So it's the name of the enslaved people, and then Monday through Sunday, what crops they were working on that particular year and that particular month and that particular day. Wow. So those people are named, those enslaved people are named there. And we're getting these donations from people who are just looking through their family collections and allowing us to take really high-res photos of them and put them onto our website.
Wow. That's amazing. Again, you said kind of moonshot, right? We've talked about it. This isn't a 1-year project or 25-year. I don't know in my life if I will see all 10 million named enslaved individuals in this database, but we're working and we need you, the public, those that are watching. So if you've got stuff, you're going to make a big plea, I know, on stage, or Ryan will at the general session, for how the public can be involved with this, because it is big. It has changed the world kind of stuff. I mean, I had the privilege of being with you all when you announced it originally. So this isn't the first announcement. So you didn't hear it here. You didn't hear about it first here. Hopefully you've heard about it since it launched in August at the National Association of Black Journalists. We were in Birmingham, Alabama, and it was so fun to be with the team there because of what we were able to do at the launch. In fact, I think we got some pictures from that event that were taken back at Birmingham, Alabama at the National Association of Black Journalists. We have Paula Madison, who was a former RootsTech actually keynote speaker. She spoke at RootsTech in 2016, but I know she's helping leading your advisory council, your media advisory council there. And so she was there. She kicked it off. All of us were in the audience cheering her on, wearing our T-shirts. Lindsay's got the T-shirt on. I don't know if you can see this next picture of all of us that were there. I've got my T-shirt here. You see David right front and center there. We were all there to kick off the project. And what was cool, what I really loved what you guys did is the reason why you went to the National Association of Black Journalists was because you could get the story out, right? So you guys have gotten some stuff. Didn't you get Good Morning America, Lindsay? That was like the kickoff thing on it.
Yes.
And then there, like Michael Strahan and ABC News, I think, did a little spot on it. You got some stuff in National Geographic. You got stuff in NPR. We even and it was cool because, like David, we were doing all consultations there. And David, I remember I got a picture from Claire Vale, from your team, of just a moment you had with one of the participants there at NABJ, where, like, I mean, I'm looking at that, I want to cry. What, like, didn't you say, like, I think all of us needed tissues at our tables while we were there, didn't we?
Originally, I think they were going to be for just the participants, but I can tell you, you get really emotionally attached quickly to somebody's story. But for me, it's when they get the reveal of something they have a little knowledge of, but then you make that family story come true with showing them the documents. There's a story and a document behind this tradition that they've had. In this case, this young lady started to cry. I'm starting to cry. We're holding each other's hands. I mean, it's like I became instant new best friends with so many people. Oh, yeah. It was an amazing experience. There was a gentleman, Terry Allen from Texas, in the same thing. And he was just like, I only know a little bit about my family. And then in these short sessions, and Tom, I mean, we probably could have worked for them each like all day. Oh yeah. It was amazing discoveries and a great connection.
Absolutely. And I had an interesting one. You can see actually in the background of your picture is one person I'm with. I think the next photo shows, I was with Shannon Lanier, who is a reporter from Houston. He's got a funny Instagram account. If y'all want to follow Shannon Lanier, you need to. He's hilarious. But like, he was on the phone, he was writing stuff down. I had LaJoy Mosby, who's the president of the Afro-American Historical and Genealogical Society, another contributing and collaborating organization that American Ancestors is working with. She was right by my side as we were digging in, looking at stuff on the computer, trying to help Mr. Lanier make this connection with his family. Now, Lindsay, I got a question that came in the chat here that I want to kind of throw to you. There's a lot of efforts that are going on around the country in various states to name enslaved people. And I know, some of them, you're familiar with some of them in the industry. How is 10 million names different than those, or how does that work together with efforts that have already been undertaken to name enslaved people?
Sure. So yes, we are not the first to do this project. This work has been going on for many years, and we're well aware of that. What 10 million names, what we strive for at 10 million names is to become a centralized place for all of those organizations to kind of come together. So what we would like to do, and what we've started to do, is partner with organizations who have databases like Family Search, who have databases that name enslaved people, and provide that as a one-stop shop, like searchable place that's on 10 million names. And then if you get a result that makes sense for the person you're looking for, mm-hmm. it would then move you over to that other website. Right. And the reason for that is, there's a handful of reasons. One, we want to bring as much attention as we possibly can to that organization that's been doing the work. And two, sometimes that other partner organization is going to have additional material that could be beneficial for the research that person is doing. Right. That doesn't really make sense to be a database. It might be historical context. It might be manuscript material that is not searchable like a database. So we're trying to bring everyone together. That's really the number one goal of 10 million names, is to bring as many people in this space together to create a landing area for everyone to come and work on their family history.
I like to think of it, and thank you. The question came from the Kentucky Genealogical Society on Facebook. Thank you for asking that question, because I feel like the hub and spoke, right? That all these spokes are out there, but there hasn't been a hub, a centralized place that's organizing this effort and collaborating and putting it all together. And American Ancestors is leading the way. Like you said, you're reaching out to all these other organizations, collaborating with different folks, DAR, with OGS, with other multiple others. If you want to know who all they're partnering with, by the way, go to 10millionnames.org online and you'll find the list there. But one of the cool things I think I've loved about this project from the start is who you're bringing to advise you on this and where you're kind of the direction that you're heading and things like that. We were at Martha's Vineyard right after the NABJ launch, David, and you didn't get a chance to be there. That's okay.
I was in spirit. In spirit, I was there.
In spirit, right? So you see this picture here. I took this selfie because I'm always in a selfie. And I was, again, wearing my T-shirt. But I'm there with Dr. Kendra Field, who is your chief historian for 10 Million Names, and Carrie Greenidge, both from Tufts University. You'll see Richard Cellini in the jacket, and many people don't know he was the person behind the Georgetown Memory Project, or GU-272 efforts that American Ancestors worked in collaboration with him on, connecting the descendants of those enslaved people that were sold by the Jesuits. He is kind of what led to the founding of 10 Million Names, from what I understand. Right, Lindsay?
Yeah, he's the founder. He's the brainchild behind it. One of the reasons why we knew we could do the work, like we felt confident that we could take this on as a project, was because of the work that we did with GU-272.
Okay.
10 Million Names is the GU-272 times 10 million.
It's to the next level, a whole nother level, right?
It's a little bit, yeah. It's not the same thing, right. but it does at least show us that the proof concept of this, we can do this. This work is possible, and we have Richard to thank for that.
Well, and you've assembled this team, the Scholars Council, that has Kendra Field and Carrie Greenidge. You've got an advisory council. Skip Gates is on that. Gwil York is on that council. You've even got an honorary. Dare I mention their name? Justice of the Supreme Court, Ketanji Brown Jackson, has been involved in some way, shape, or form with what you do. So you're really pulling on a lot of heavy hitters. And now you're forming a genealogist council, which I'm grateful to be a part of. So I happily joined your genealogist council to provide kind of the family search and genealogist expertise to what this project is trying to do. And just, you guys have really, like I said, made a big splash. You're really trying to go big with all of this to kind of help this monumental effort, if I will. So thank you. First, thank you. I think we're kind of wrapping down. I want to make sure there are any questions or things like that. I know people are really interested. It's for some reason today's chat has brought up a lot about adoption. So I want to point people to some of the research that Family Search has, resources that American Ancestors has that can help you finding adoptive family. But I want to end kind of on one thing for you, Lindsay, and that's the questions I keep hearing about the project. You helped kind of define why the project's a little different than what's going on, the question that Kentucky Genealogical Society had. But I keep getting people like, how are you going to do, like we talked about, the 10 million estimated enslaved people from the 1500s to the 1800s, emancipation, all that kind of stuff. That's the number if you do the math, right?
Yep.
But how are you going about doing this research? How are you going to find them? Like, how do you assemble them into a database? I know we can't answer all these questions, so maybe just give us two as we kind of wrap up. Like, how are you finding these names, and how can people listening today help with 10 Million Names?
So, a lot of big questions there. But one of the first things that we did, and we meaning like you, me and Tom, I mean, we were thinking about where are enslaved people named in records that we already know about.
Mm-hmm.
And then how do we make those accessible? So like deeds, probates, we know people are there.
Uh-huh.
how do we start looking at those collections in a way that makes it more accessible to folks that are doing this research? So that's one of the first places that we start. We know that, so then we have to start going through them and indexing them and making them a database. There's a lot of work that goes into that, but that's just those two very quick examples of where the names are. Then we start getting into, record sets that are maybe harder to get a hold of. And that's where the community comes in, where we have to rely on the community to help us with papers that they might already have in their own collection, papers that they know exist at another historical society, smaller library that maybe doesn't have an entry on WorldCat or Archive Grid that we just don't know about yet. So it's really going to be a word of mouth and partnership driven project that, in order for us to get this done. But the plan is to make databases and to make trees accessible for free. All of this is for free. I haven't mentioned that yet. Free. It's all free. We feel that strongly to our core that this should be something that is accessible to all. So, making databases, making trees so that folks can find ancestors that they know of, and then taking it back further from there.
Absolutely. Rosemary Kinney said, making sure that slaveholding families, for example, post information about the enslaved people that are in their records.
Yes.
Because they're folks like me that are looking for my family. I come from enslaved ancestors, and then there's a point where I struggle to be able to make those connections, and things like Family Search and our AI tools for full text search. I think something you had kind of a little sneak peek to, which we'll talk about at RootsTech, are helping to make that connection. But really, if you're someone listening today and that your family, had at one point has records that include the names of enslaved people, please share that with the folks at 10 Million Names and be a part of this project. Please.
Take some quick photos. If you're coming to RootsTech, please stop by, show them to me. If you want to bring the thing, show it to, bring it to me. David and I love to look at original stuff in person. We just did this the other day with a different project, but for the Boston Tea Party, where someone came with original documents that were owned by a participant in the Boston Tea Party. So people have cool stuff in their house, and we just want to make sure that they know where to bring it and who to share it.
You really want to share this treasure, because your connection so long ago can reconnect someone to their ancestry that they didn't have any clue on. So a personal diary, a journal, a deed, something that you might think is, it's not that important. It is that important. And that's why we're trying to do 10 Million Names, to gather all this in one place.
Thank you so much, Dave and Lindsay. Thank you for joining me today and kind of preview some of the things that are coming up. Just for those who are listening today, I want to make sure you can see Lindsay and David in person, not on the stream, not on YouTube, Facebook, whatever. They will be in person at the Salt Palace in Salt Lake City, Utah, February 29th through March 2nd for RootsTech. If you can't make it in person, you can join us virtually for the 3 days. But it's going to be so much more impactful if you're able to come to David's classes and Lindsay's classes, or watch Ryan Woods, the president and CEO of American Ancestors, on that giant stage, kind of announcing to the world and sharing about 10 Million Names. This is a phenomenal project. Of course, I want to thank you for allowing Family Search to be a part of this. We've been working collaboratively on this from the very start. And I know you've brought all these other organizations to help. It's going to take, it's going to be, what is it? A rising tide lifts all boats. Like, it's going to take so much from everyone into this. And just on behalf of Family Search, thank you. Hopefully you'll be able to come join us. Like I said, everyone, please come to RootsTech. Go to rootstech.org if you want to learn more. Also, if you want to just read a little bit more about what we've talked about today and this announcement of our collaboration between American Ancestors and Family Search and the 10 Million Names Project, you can go to the Family Search newsroom at media.com www.familysearch.org. I'm Tom Reed. Thank you, Lindsay Fulton. Thank you, David Lambert. So good to have you on today. We'll hopefully see you in 2 weeks.
Yes.
See you then.
All
We're
right.
at booth 411. See you then.